Imagine you are standing in a vast open field. In the distance, gigantic blades are turning steadily in the wind. They look both modern and majestic, like giants guarding the sky. These are wind turbines, the familiar symbol of renewable energy. Wind power has long been praised as one of the key solutions in the fight against climate change. It produces no emissions during operation, requires no burning of coal or oil, and can be endlessly renewed as long as the wind blows. But here's the interesting part. Although it is called clean energy, wind power does not enjoy universal support. Across the world, from Europe and the US to Asia, large wind power projects continue to face controversy. So, why can a green energy source stir up so much debate? Wind power is generated by harnessing the force of the wind. When the wind blows, it spins blades attached to a turbine. This motion drives a generator, transforming kinetic energy into electrical energy. There are two main types: onshore wind power, built on land, near areas with stable wind resources. Offshore wind power, built out at sea, where winds are stronger and more consistent. Over the past few decades, wind energy has grown rapidly. In 2022 alone, global wind power capacity surpassed 900 gigawatts, enough to supply electricity to hundreds of millions of households. The advantages of wind power are clear: no CO2 emissions during operation, an inexhaustible source of supply, and costs that are becoming increasingly cheaper compared to the past. And yet, these green turbines still face resistance from many communities. Impact on landscapes. One of the most common complaints is the effect on natural landscapes. Imagine you are traveling in a picturesque mountain valley or standing before a pristine beach. Instead of seeing only trees or ocean waves, you now face dozens or even hundreds of gigantic wind turbines. Each can be taller than 150 meters, equivalent to a skyscraper. For some, this image feels modern and inspiring, but for many others, it is considered visual pollution, diminishing the natural beauty of the environment. In Europe, heated debates have taken place between conservation advocates and wind energy developers. Impact on wildlife. Wind power is also criticized for its effects on birds and bats. Studies show that birds may collide with blades while flying through turbine areas. Migratory species traveling in large flocks are especially at risk. In addition, the noise and altered air currents around turbines can disrupt bats' hunting behavior. While the overall percentage is not as high as bird deaths caused by cars or glass buildings, it remains a concern in nature reserves. Many animal protection organizations argue that wind projects should be carefully planned to avoid ecologically sensitive areas. Noise and community impacts. Living near a wind farm might sound exciting, but not everyone finds it comfortable. As turbines spin, they generate a steady humming noise. During the day, it may not be very noticeable, but at night, when the environment is quiet, the sound can become an annoyance. Some residents report difficulty sleeping, headaches, or feelings of stress. The term wind turbine syndrome has been mentioned in various studies and reports. While there is no clear scientific evidence that it directly causes illness, the discomfort experienced by locals cannot be denied. As a result, many communities have opposed building wind farms close to residential areas. Intermittency of supply. Another drawback is its dependence on weather. The wind does not blow consistently. Some days bring strong winds and excess power generation, but on days with weak or no wind, output drops to nearly zero. This makes it challenging to maintain a stable energy supply. The solution is to combine wind with other sources such as solar, hydropower, or battery storage. However, large-scale battery systems are still extremely expensive. This raises the question, can wind power truly replace fossil fuels entirely? Costs and infrastructure. Although the cost of generating wind power has dropped significantly, the initial investment remains very high. Building a turbine hundreds of meters tall requires steel, cement, rare earth materials, and complex engineering systems. Offshore wind projects additionally require undersea transmission lines, which are costly and difficult to maintain. Many countries face a dilemma: invest heavily upfront in hopes of long-term benefits, or continue relying on traditional energy sources. Environmental impact in the production chain. A less discussed but important issue is the entire life cycle of wind turbines. Producing them requires mining and processing of various raw materials, especially rare earths for magnets. This process itself can cause environmental pollution. Moreover, turbine blades typically last only about 20-25 years. Once damaged, recycling them is difficult because the composite materials are extremely durable and non-biodegradable. For this reason, some critics argue that wind power is not entirely green, but rather greener compared to coal and oil. Wind power is clearly a major step forward in the transition to clean energy. It helps reduce greenhouse gas emissions, creates jobs, and offers a future less dependent on fossil fuels. However, like any technology, it is not perfect. Its impact on landscapes, wildlife, communities, costs, and production-related environmental issues are all challenges that must be addressed. What matters is maintaining a balanced view, neither glorifying nor dismissing it entirely. The solution may lie in combining wind with other renewable sources, careful planning to minimize ecological impacts, and advancing recycling technologies. Wind power is not a magic wand that solves everything, but it is undoubtedly a vital piece of the future energy puzzle. And the real question is not whether we should use wind power, but how we can use it sustainably and fairly.